Today is day 189 of the Trump administration corruption. And for those of you who are math challenged, that's just over 6 months. Think about everything that has happened in the last 6 months and be flabbergasted like the rest of us. What? It's only been 6 months and this has happened? So, what we wanted to do is kind of, as it says, where are we now? Kind of wanted to do an overall check in on where we expect it to be. His campaign promises, has he followed through on all of them or any of them? Some of the most egregious things that he's done, which is different today than it was a week ago. A lot has happened in the last week. We'll talk about his promises with tariffs and just all his campaign promises, the tariffs, the immigration, taxes. So my question to Trump supporters, but also amongst ourselves, uh, has he kept his campaign promises? Let's take the temperature. Where are we at? So having said that, some of his campaign promises were uh, ending wars day one and not getting involved in any. He kept one promise, lowering taxes for the rich. So there's one. Um, his immigration policy, he has not followed that the way he campaigned on it. Uh, the cuts to the various programs, um, that his promise was draining the swamp, and the way they drained it was by cutting programs. So, I mean, is that really the swamp? He also promised that he was going to get to the bottom of the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, and we are currently in the midst of seeing that fall apart. So, where are we? Some of us might say we're in hell currently, every day. I might be one of those people. Um, and um, I want to start off with immigration. Has he kept his promise on immigration? It depends, not in the way that he presented it, right? He was going to kick out the criminals, the murderers, and the rapists. And not really. He's been scooping up American citizens. He's been scooping up people who aren't criminals. He has been um, scooping up people and sending them to countries they've never been to before. He sent somebody from Jamaica to South Sudan. He sent somebody from Laos and Vietnam to I can't what used to be called Swaziland. I can't pronounce what it is now. Hakeem, you might know. Um, he has set this lofty goal of sending out 3,000 people a day, which is why he has comported himself the way that he has been, or his administration, going to Home Depots and, day labor camps. Even there's even video of one of the sheriffs in Florida, just randomly pulling over people and citing them with BS claims. Oh, your windows are too tinted. Oh, this, that, and the third. But he's only pulling over people that he identifies as brown. So it was all Hispanic and Haitian people. Um, these people were subsequently put into alligator Alcatraz, is what they call this makeshift detention center that they built on a swamp surrounded by python and alligators in Florida. That's cute. Um, these people don't. They have their rights violated. People think that just because you're an immigrant, you don't have rights, but that's not true at all. Everybody has the right to due process. Everybody has the right to go before a judge and state their case and make their case as to why, they should not be removed from this country. But he's scooping people up at first in the middle of the night, but now it's broad daylight. He has scooped up the spouses and parents of active military members. These people are often brutalized. They have snatched people out of surgery wings when they're prepared to have surgery. Um, they have snatched at people who are following the process. They are in front of an immigration judge like they have been told to do. They've gone for their hearing like they should, and the minute they step foot out of the courtroom, they're snatched up. So I do not believe that when Trump supporters voted him in on the policy of immigration, I don't think they foresaw it like this. I don't think they believed that actual citizens were going to be deported. And they make this. Yeah, but so the comment is, "Purple, I respect your views. Nobody is playing fair on either side." Um, when it comes to immigration, which is what we're specifically talking about, it's the other side that's not playing fair, because the Democrats aren't participating in this active warfare on immigration. Um, okay, forgive my ignorance. What's the topic about? So we're talking about the first 6 months of Trump's administration and where we are in regards to campaign promises and have they been kept. And right now we're talking about immigration. And I was saying, I don't believe that the people who voted for him on the issue of immigration foresaw that this is how it was going to be. There's some people who say coming across the border is illegal, therefore it's a crime, therefore they are criminals, therefore they have to go. It's okay that they're snapped up, even though they're not the worst of the worst, which is the narrative that he presented to us. So I am going to go close my mouth for a little bit and open it up to the panel. Keep it brief. Let's try to keep our comments to 2 or 3 minutes. And hopefully a Trump supporter will come through. And again, if one does, somebody's going to have to give up their seat so they have a place to sit. So raise your hand if you would like to comment on the immigration situation. Don't everybody raise their hands at once. Go ahead, Miss Issa.
Yes, I might as well kick it off. So for me, I'm more pessimistic about the situation. I feel as though Trump supporters absolutely knew what they were getting into about when it came to immigration, right? I think the thing that they didn't, I don't even, okay, so I believe that they absolutely knew that anyone could have been on the list to be deported. I don't feel like I don't feel like that throughout the entire campaign we were really making a distinguisher between the criminals and people coming here, for freedom or for work or whatever it is. We have classified all of them as criminals. And that's what it was sounding like. So when it was coming out that people are getting removed, it's like, well, yeah, because like y'all classified a whole group of people as criminals. And I believe, like, I don't think he lied about what he was planning on doing. I just think that people weren't, a lot of people were more so surprised by the fact that he's actually executing the thing that he said that he was going to do and the way it looks. We heard it, but now we're looking at it and it's two different things. That's it.
I agree, even though we constantly see somebody crying, "Oh, I didn't think they meant us," right? But also I think a layer to it is Stephen Miller, who is behind the cruelty is the point this time and last time. He has financial interest in for-profit prisons. And it didn't start off with 3,000 a day. When they weren't swooping up enough people, Stephen Miller was like, more and more and more. I believe he stands to financially gain behind the more people that are put in these detention centers, the more money that goes in his pocket. Go ahead, Mr. Couche.
Thanks, Perp. Okay, well, to me, I I think that the immigration is um, a solution in white America's mind that does a few things. You know what I mean? So when Donald Trump was saying these things, he was empowering white America because we have to understand he is making these moves for that group in our country right now. Everybody black and brown is under attack. We have to look at birth rates. We have to look at, you know what I mean, economics and how they're changing and things like that, and how Spanish people are actually making the United States their home. It's changed from sending money back home and then eventually I go back home and I live like a king at home. They were okay with that. You know what I mean? But now that we have a lot of Latino Americans here that are coming in from asylum or whatever their circumstance is, you know what I mean? Now we are tipping the racial scale. Here in America, when he took office, we were like at 56% white, 44% minority. So I think that these attacks that he's taking against immigration is just a smokescreen so that they can go back up to the 70-30. You know what I mean? And in their minds, it's all good business. You know what I mean? But that's genuinely what I think. Because at the end of the day, everything that this man has done and every way that he has executed um, collecting these illegal immigrants or these migrant workers, I'm not even going to call them illegal. You know what I mean?
Undocumented.
Undocumented, or and I'm gonna be honest with you, some of them are documented. He has collected American citizens, he's collected military
That's
people.
true.
Yeah. And the thing is about it, it's a clear violation of civil liberties. Facts. You know what I'm saying? And he never gave a plan on exactly how he was going to do it. And I always said, what he's going to do, just round up everybody. And that's what he's doing. And that's against the law here in the United States. And we have to realize that he was never going to get penalized for that because he's the president and he got that law
That's you,
changed.
Wilson.
But go ahead. I'm gonna land my plane there. They definitely
Thank
knew
you.
that.
It's Issa and then Wolfson.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of piggyback off of what Mr. Kuche was saying. At the end of the day, like uh I remember those conversations about how the white population were about to not be the majority anymore. And then all of these deportation kind of situations started to pop up. So I absolutely agree that this deportation as of right now is to change the population and to change the percentages between white and, others. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, because we all know "Make America Great Again" is really "Make America White Again," but I digress. Go ahead, Wilson.
Hey guys, what's up? So
Hey,
what's really terrified me about this whole immigration and the efforts going to uh, not only identify them but apprehend them is his efforts to by executive order ratify the 14th Amendment and birthright
I was
citizenship.
getting there. Yep, I
That
was getting there.
that is completely terrifying to me because if if somehow that does get enacted, then how many millions of American citizens is that going to affect that they are effectively just going to lose their citizenship? And they have already been going around saying with the concept that, well, if you're not an American citizen, then you're not protected under American rights and under the Constitution, right? That you don't deserve due process, you don't deserve free speech, you don't deserve all those things, right?
Yeah.
And what what's even more frightening is that in the future, this could be interpreted even greater by saying just because you were born in the United States does not make you a U.S. citizen, regardless. and they would be able to then create their own criteria of what makes someone a United States citizen based on their own, political party lines and conservative laws.
Mm-hmm.
And just the immediate impact and the future prospect of it is just horrifying to me. And um, I'm starting to really think of getting me and my kids out of this damn country. That's it.
That's fair. I see, Mr. Couchet. Yes, you brought up the 14th Amendment, and I am going to cover the parts of the Constitution that are being violated almost every day by this administration. And yes, the 14th is one of the ones I was going to start with, but he's also weaponizing it in terms of just, I mean, he threatened to take Rosie O'Donnell's citizenship away because they hate each other and have for years. And she, they got into a little back and forth last week, and she lives in Ireland now, and he's just going to strip her of, or he threatened to strip her of her citizenship. So, he's weaponizing the Constitution in all the wrong ways. And, Wolfson, you alluded to something, and I can't stress enough that even if you are not a citizen, you are covered by due process, period. When there were Nazis on trial 60, 70 years ago, they were able to go before a judge and state the case as to why they were not Nazis. So we can afford due process to Nazis, but we can't afford due process to undocumented people and American citizens who have gotten caught up in that net. Go ahead, Mr. Couchet.
Um, Let me get my train of thought back because it was right on his birthright citizenship situation. Um, because I mean, me as an American, that affects me as an American. You know what I mean? And I'm an American that served my country. So if birthright citizenship is an issue, or anchor babies or whatever happens is an issue, you know what I mean? How as a country are we going to be able to sustain ourselves? Because how would we? There's no compensation. All this deportation is actually putting us in a worse situation because right now in our agriculture in the United States, it's at abysmal. So I mean, it's destroying us. You know what I mean? Along with all the legalities, like who's to say, even if you were an illegal immigrant, these people have really have the right to sue because I think it's against the law for you to have an illegal immigrant and transport them to another country they wasn't from. I don't even think you're allowed to do that. And like this
That's called
man is
kidnapping
breaking.
and human trafficking.
Right.
Kidnapping and
He's
human
been breaking
trafficking.
so many laws that and he has this immunity, you know what I'm saying? And there is no right answer because he has immunity. So he can do whatever he wants. Everybody around him will go to jail, but he won't. You know what I'm saying? And he's the one saying all this rhetoric. You know what I mean? I don't want to live in a country that I served and my citizenship can be revoked because I disagree. Because that's a part of being an American. I'm allowed to disagree with you.
Yes. So that's a good segue into the amendments. He has been attacking the first, the fourth, the fifth, potentially the sixth, the 14th, the 15th, a little bit of the 13th. I believe he's going to violate the 22nd. Um, now, I don't want to give a civics lesson in this particular setting because that can take a little long time. But that's a lot of amendments to be screwing around with, right? And the one that a lot of people focus on rightly is the 14th because the 14th contains birthright citizenship. And that basically means, if you're born here, you're a citizen. And they are using that argument negatively because of, and I hate this phrase, but anchor babies, undocumented people who come here pregnant, uh, that time their pregnancy, um, or or have babies while they're waiting for their hearing, and therefore they have the children. The children are citizens. That hasn't mattered under this administration, because if the parent is undocumented with minor children, um, oftentimes everybody's getting the boot. There are cases where the children are left behind, and the administration has ended or reduced the funding um, for the lawyers. So they have guardian. They used to have guardian ad litem or CASA, and these attorneys would represent these younger kids. I mean, what 7-year-old knows how to go in front of a judge, right? So now, because they've ended the funding on that, we have situations where there's literally little kids who potentially don't speak English, and even if they do speak English, they don't speak legalese, and they're having to go before these courts and fight for their right to stay. You know, who does that? Who does that? And you know, the and due process is under the fifth, which is the same as, I mean, we all know the fifth. You know, you have the right to not incriminate yourself. Uh, the 13th and 15th contain citizenship clauses, but they also contain voting rights clauses. That's where those live. If you don't think that our voting rights are under siege, then look no further than Texas, who is right now in between elections for the midterms, trying to redraw 5 districts to make them Republican districts. Why are they doing that? Because they're scared. There's a lot of districts that went for Trump and their Republican representative by 1%, 2%. And they're they're scared. Because here's what I think. You know, a lot of independents voted for Trump and some Democrats voted for Trump. And they did so on cleaning up the swamp. They did so on getting to the bottom of the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. And they're seeing none of that is happening. And I don't necessarily believe those Democrats are going to go back to being Democrats. I think they're just going to say, screw the whole thing. The Republicans suck. The Democrats suck. I'm not voting anymore. But at the end of the day, you know, his base is eroding. I don't think it's eroding in alarming rates. I think I would be naive to think that, but it is eroding. And you know, it's a lot of these hardcore MAGA people, the podcasters and the journalists and stuff like that, that are really screaming about the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, which we're going to get to. Um, and then I mentioned the 22nd. The 22nd is term limits. You know, we've all heard him say he Waco, we ain't coming out. He don't want to go nowhere. And, you know, I've already been told once not to give the blueprint, but I figured out 3 ways that he can do it. And I say, if I figured it out, they already know. So there's 3 legal ways for him to get a 3rd term. It's not by the letter of the law, but it's not breaking the law. There's nothing in the Constitution other than the 22nd that prevents him from seeking a 3rd term. But the language of the 22nd kind of precludes the loophole, because the loophole does not include him running for office or being elected to office. And so those are the key phrases in the 22nd. There's a way for him to conceivably have a 3rd term by being selected, not elected. Now, we all know what the First Amendment is, and that's under fire. Every day, he is silencing citizen journalists, actually scooping them up and threatening to deport them for having the audacity to want to talk about free Palestine. He is suing newspapers and news organizations. He's preventing news organizations from participating in the press gaggle. See, when people think about the First Amendment, they're always like, "Well, I have my First Amendment rights," right? But First Amendment really is about not just freedom of speech, but freedom of speech without government interference. And there's a lot of government interference going on right now, where the free press isn't free anymore. Any type of criticism. And the crazy thing is, he's been suing these news organizations, and they've been caving and capitulating. CBS paid him out at the expense of Stephen Colbert. 60 Minutes paid him out. I'm sorry, Paramount paid him out. 60 Minutes paid him out. Um, it, One of the paper, I forget what paper it was. One of the papers is getting ready to pay him out, um, but not necessarily the Wall Street Journal behind the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. Uh, so, what are we doing here? He's shutting down the press and threatening to kick citizens out and take their citizenship. He's talking about, a third term in office. He, to use Sarah Palin, pals around with dictators and authoritarians. Where are we headed? What are we doing? And I was just reading an article in LinkedIn today. A professor at UNC, I'm in North Carolina, I'm like 30 minutes from UNC, was served with papers to provide his syllabus. And the reason that the government wanted his syllabus was to literally, in their words, check to see if he was doing some type of DEI instruction. And I glanced, I believe Duke got in trouble today. We can talk about DEI too. That's ridiculous. But, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which they've decided is woke and therefore must be dealt with and done away with. And consequently, almost every single executive order, almost everything they've done in the name of DEI is cloaked in blackness. His executive orders will literally say African American studies or, African American AP or this, African American curriculum in your school. He blamed plane crashes on DEI. Um, Funny how they're still falling out the sky after he got rid of all the DEI people. Um, Counseling for kids in school, DEI. School lunches for kids, DEI. Um, I see you, Mr. Cusay. A water crisis in Lowndes County, Alabama, where the septic system is failing, and it happens to be failing in a Black neighborhood. The grant for that was canceled because it was environmental injustice DEI initiative. It's like there's an attack on us as melanated people, and why is that? Go ahead, Mr. Cushay.
Again, what I'm going to say is this is the problem that I see. I think that it's all connected to whiteness. So anything that benefits the black community also benefits white women because in the scope of America, they're considered minorities. So it goes all the way back to the population. White women are now in the workforce. They are now competing for jobs. They don't have to tolerate that Confederate ideology that white men are perpetuating, because if we also look at statistics, most conservative Republican white males are the highest percentage of white males that are unmarried. And that's also a statistic. Like, you know what I'm saying? And those males believe in procreation. They have like an evangelical ideology. Like, you know what I'm saying? So once again, I think DEI and all these things, we think it's an attack on black people, but actually I think it's the initial attack. They don't give a fuck. They always trying to hurt us. Okay. They're always trying to hurt us. But I think they're really trying to get at the white woman and make her go back home, quit her job, and produce them
Yeah.
babies. Even when it goes down to abortion, that don't have nothing to do with nobody black and brown. It's got something to do with white women. They have to get the white woman procreating for the white man again, along with deporting all the brown people to raise their numbers up. So they're really trying to throw a wrench to me in the white woman's plan. And because in our society, white women classify as a minority, like that's why a lot of our stuff is under attack. Because believe it or not, in a lot of these uh uh pie charts, you will see white women actually benefit from a lot of minority programs and things like and the laws that were set up more than anybody. I'm
Yeah,
gonna land
because
my plane.
white women are part of the protected class. That's I see you. So that's what a lot of people don't understand, right? When they're thinking about this DEI stuff and whatnot, because they couch it in blackness, they're like, oh, the black folks are getting all these benefits. The brown folks are gonna get all these benefits. They gotta go. But and the gay folk. But a protected class is a protected class, and that's not just melanated people or trans and gay people. That's veterans, that's disabled. And I believe there are some white disabled people and some white veterans. I think so. White women are a protected class. I think white women are white. I could be wrong. Um, but go ahead, Issa, and then Mr. Couche again.
Yeah, so when it comes to the DEI, I feel like white women are protected by DEI on both sides, right? They're protected by it because they're able to use it to get, what they want out of the government. They get to get jobs. They get to, complain when something isn't going their way. But if you look at the statistics on the people who actually lost their jobs in government within the last 6 months, it was Black women. Black women were targeted heavily. We already lost almost 300,000 government jobs. So, as much as I feel like I feel you, Mr. Kuche, especially when it comes to the population, how they want their white women in the house, absolutely. But do they want their white women in the house to the point that they are outrightly firing them and doing that type of things? No. Because at the end of the day, they still need that white woman vote. They still need it. So
And they're voting.
overtly you can't be overtly disrespecting the people that you need, their vote from. So a lot of the ways that we feel like white women are going to be implicated into this DEI and how it's hurting them, they're not hurting. They're really not. But that was it.
And they're voting against their own best interest, right? I mean, we can look at the military and how they've been getting rid of all the high-ranking women, all who happen to be white, but they're getting rid of the high-ranking women and the high-ranking men of color. It's just it's ridiculous, And if you don't think that they're coming for us, all you have to do is listen to what Donald Trump has been doing the past couple days to deflect from Jeffrey Epstein. People ask him a question about Jeffrey Epstein, he throws them red meat. Tulsi Gabbard literally lied about what the Russian memo said and accused Obama of treason. And Trump said in front of everybody and God in one of the press gaggles that Obama is committed treason. Yesterday, he was saying that Kamala should go to jail because of campaign fraud, because she paid Beyonce $11 million and got her endorsement, and she paid Oprah $2 million and got her endorsement, and paid Sharpton $500,000 for his endorsement, and that is against campaign law. It's not, no. It's well documented that they paid the production costs And I think the production cost for Beyonce was 135,000. I don't know how much Oprah's was. And yes, they did pay $500,000 to National what is it? The National Action Network. It wasn't for an endorsement. It was to pay for an event. And that's legal and kind of required from your campaign financing, that you pay your bill, and you're liable for production costs. If production costs are incurred, through the course of your campaigning. And Trump had to do the same thing. The rallies he had, all of that, if there was a production cost, his campaign had to pay for it. Are we going to accuse him of uh, buying Hulk Hogan's vote? May he rest in shit poop. I don't really have any love for Hulk Hogan. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mr. Couche. Hi, Fusion.
Yeah, like I get that. See, what Donald Trump is doing is he's throwing one arrow out, but the arrow has like multiple heads on it. He's gonna stab that white jaw. Bow. He's gonna hit the minorities. Bow. He's gonna hit all women. Bow. Because nobody's gonna convince me that a lot of these regulations are to affect Black America, because as far as anti-abortion, they don't want Black people to have babies, and that's on both sides, because even Joe Biden is on record asking Black men to wear condoms and stop procreating. So they don't want Black people to procreate. So that abortion stuff, that don't pertain to you. And I mean, this is the way I look at it. You know what I'm saying? When in the LGBTQIA, they don't care about Black men being heterosexual. You know why? I mean, homosexual, because that
I see
stops
it,
their
sis.
population and their procreation. They made a whole pipeline to jail for Black men. And I have a cartoon reel where it will show that they put the little Black character in a jail and he comes out like a woman. And that's what they want. So that's why I say this is really to get white America back on their track, because not only are white women falling off, but the opioid pandemic in America is wiping them out in alarming numbers, more than anybody else. So they white America, actually, if we look this up statistically, between white women in the workforce not getting married, not having babies, between the opioid crisis in America that affects many white Americans, and the incest, believe it or not, those three things in white America are devouring them. So a lot of things that are going on in our economy is based on making that race of people more stable. Their goal, of course, is to knock us off a track. That's a bonus. Everything that happens to us is a bonus. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, nobody's ever going to convince me that they care about Black life so much they want it to continue in the United States of America. That's false.
I see it's another campaign promise he didn't keep: the opioid fentanyl crisis. Still waiting on to see what he's going to do about that. And we'll get to, you mentioned economics. We'll get to the tariffs in a second. Go ahead, Issa.
Yeah, I wasn't so much saying that, like, I'm sorry, but when it comes down to like abortion and things like that, like, the pendulum always swings both ways. So in the same way that you feel like they want white women to procreate, I feel like they want Black women to procreate too. Because statistically, the more children Black women have, the higher rate of poverty they live in. So it's not just about white women, right? And it's not the same rate of poverty for the white women, because a lot of white women are getting married with these babies, right? Black women aren't. So it's more than just, oh, they want these white women to procreate. Like, sometimes one insidious plan can work out well in different types of ways. Right. So not only do you get to pump up your population, you also get to keep Black people in poverty and having all these babies and, child support and all of these circle jerk kind of conversations that we be having. On top of the fact that they're taking away, reproduction rights and abortion, they're also taking away billions of dollars in public education. So they're not going to educate you. They're not going to give you reproductive education, and they're going to close down a bunch of Planned Parenthoods. Who is that really going to hurt
And
besides the Black community?
they're ending social programs to help these women that they're forcing to have babies that they can't afford. So let's
Exactly. Who
say.
does that hurt more? Like, yeah, they want these white women to boost up their population, but these white women are also getting married. These white women are not living in poverty when they're having their babies. So yeah, you could talk about them having all of these babies all you want, but all these babies being taken care of, absolutely. But when it comes to Black women and the Black community and the fact that they're taking away the money for the education, that shit is going to cripple us if we're not paying attention. That's it.
And we know, so those of us, hi Balboa, we talked about the Project 2025, so we knew the blueprint, and one of those blueprints was dismantling the Department of Education, and they are doing just that. And it's going to disproportionately affect poor people, and Black people. It's not, they're saying, oh, we're going to, let the states run it, private voucher programs and the like. Um, but they're it's almost like the Fourth Reich, right? We've said that before. They are trying to control the curriculum that our students are taught. They're cutting breakfast and school lunch and counseling programs, and trying to white whitewash history. Texas has a history book that basically describes slaves as happy slaves. Cuts out the middle passage, cuts out the brutality. And they call it reverse racism because they don't want the sensibilities of the white kids to be hurt, knowing that potentially their ancestors did brutal things. I mean, sorry. Okay, I can't hold you responsible for what your 10th great grandfather did, but it's not like you shouldn't know. You should have a better understanding of what Black folks went through, our ancestors went through, and how that manifests into institutional racism. How about that? But they don't want to do that. We touched upon economics, so I'm going to use that as an opportunity to move to tariffs, another campaign promise kept. So it was going to be 90 beautiful deals in 90 days, and we were going to be bringing in $2 trillion a day. And, we were going to have our coffers overflowing with money, replacing the money we're losing from giving all those tax cuts to the rich, right? That was the goal. So how much are we bringing in tariffs now? I'm not sure. I know it's not 2 trillion. We are bringing in some money. Uh, at first, it was $226 million a day. I think it might be close to a billion at this point, which is nothing to sneeze at, right? It's more than I thought. But the problem is that what we're bringing in tariffs is being evened out, zeroed out by inflation and by the debt and deficit that we're kicking up. So we're not bringing enough tariffs in to combat the debt that's going up based on all the cuts, the tax cuts, and this, that, and the third. They were going to save billions of dollars by cutting all these government agencies. No. And the end result of them firing all these people are now in the employment market. So unemployment is ticking up in some sectors, right? Right now it's just at 4%. But like in the tech industry, it's closing in around 8%. And for 19 to 29-year-olds, especially college graduates, it's getting close to 10%. And, a lot of the people they laid off, this isn't really about tariffs. I digress, but we're going to stick with it. A lot of the people they laid off, they gave them golden parachutes and paid them through September. So what is the job market going to look like come October? That's the real question. So anyway, sorry, back to tariffs. It was going to be, a deal, 90 deals in 90 days. It has not been. They did make a deal with the European Union yesterday. It's like a 15% flat tax, but it does not, flat tariff, but it doesn't cover some of the more lucrative imports and exports. To make his quota, he started putting tariffs on everybody, and famously a island that is inhabited by penguins. He hit some smaller countries with tariffs who have a tariff deficit, right? So they import more than they export, and he's throwing tariffs on them. He went after smaller countries that he could scare easily, and the tariffs really, I see you, Wilson. The tariffs really don't have an impact. He said that he had made a deal with Japan over the late last week. And last I read, Japan was like, yeah, no, we no, nuh-uh. Um, he went after our allies, pissed Canada off, pissed um, uh, Mexico off. It's like, really? And refuses to see how those costs are going to be passed down to the consumers. I mean, that's just economics, right? And yes, we haven't really seen an increase in the price of goods like one would expect with these tariffs, but a lot of companies front loaded. They stocked up as much as they could before the tariffs hit. And so it remains to be seen when that stock goes through and when we get closer to Christmas and people want to start buying stuff. We're going to get hit. It's going to be passed down to consumers. I had found a chart that kind of gave you an estimate. Thank you. An estimate on, what you could expect to pay. And the one I remember most significantly is like a PlayStation that's like around $499 now. You can expect to pay $1,100 for come Christmas if these tariffs go into effect. Go ahead, Wolfson. You're on mute.
Yep.
There
No,
you
sorry
go.
about that. Yeah, all these tariff situations are, so many people who are for these tariffs just don't understand how they work and what the reciprocal impact it's going to have on, just all the stuff that we buy, right? But what I find really, really funny about that is he's imposing these greater tariffs on China and other Asian countries where we are importing our different goods, right? Because those things are cheaper to manufacture over in the Asian countries and to import it to America. He's importing all of these taxes or all of these tariffs on these other countries, but every single piece of MAGA merchandise, every T-shirt, every jacket, every hat, they're all made in those other countries, which
Yeah.
means even the people who are supporting him are going to be paying more to show off with these hats and T-shirts and everything else. And so, and those people don't even realize it. It's just they're just oblivious to it, and I just find it very kind of humorous.
I mean, yeah, it's like the people who are pissed off about, what he's done or hasn't done, and they're burning their MAGA gear. They already paid for it. He already got the money. What's the point? Just don't wear it, I mean, if you want to piss your money away, that's on you. So, you know, hi, Mr. Voice. You know,
Hey,
we've gone through multiple um, promises that have not been kept or didn't um, work out the way he promised. But we knew that because it just didn't make sense. The minute he said that we were going to be getting $2 trillion a day in tariffs, I'm not an economist. I like literally got a D minus in Econ 101, literally.
Mm.
The only reason I didn't get an F is because I know how to spell my name. But even I was like, yeah, this don't make no sense. This don't pass the smell test. What are we doing here, right? And I don't understand why he's picking such a big fight with China. Um, because China's gonna eat our lunch.
So are the
Absolutely.
trumpets are the trumpets mad at Trump because they're not getting what they wanted?
Some of them are. It depends on what it is, and
Wow.
the elephant in the room is Jeffrey Epstein, and I'm gonna get to him. Um,
Wow.
I
I heard that.
it's been all Jeffrey every day for 2.5, 3 weeks.
Mm.
So there's a lot of stuff that's been flying under the radar. Um,
I'm sorry. It's okay. You said Epstein. Are they
mhm.
mad at his involvement with him, or I heard that that he's not willing to open up that whole case and let people see exactly what did and what did not happen. Which
It's this, that, and everything. There's
okay.
multiple reasons why they're upset. I mean, the main reason they're upset is because he ran on his campaign promise of exposing all the pedophile rings in Hollywood and
Wow.
Washington D.C. And they're convinced that Jeffrey Epstein was murdered because he had a client list that included a lot of D.C. and Hollywood. That's pretty much the crux of it. And
Mhm.
Trump ran on that. Right, we're gonna expose all these people.
Another promise.
Yeah, another promise not kept.
Mhm.
So, another one of his problems promises was ending wars. He was going to end the Ukraine and Russia war on day one, and it wouldn't have happened if it had been on his watch. He wasn't going to get involved in any pointless wars, and I mean,
Look at him now.
he kind of, sending drones over to bomb Iran. Yes, that was an involvement, right? And we shouldn't have
Mm.
been over there, but it wasn't boots on the ground. So you can kind of
Already
give him that.
skirting the
You can
line.
kind of give him that. But he's gonna end the Israel Gaza situation. No, he's not. No, he's not. That's far too complex. I mean, just yesterday he was saying, "Oh, we're 5 for 5. I negotiated peace between India and Pakistan and Congo and Rwanda, and I'm working on Gaza and Israel, and I'm working on Ukraine and Russia." He's just taking credit for all this stuff, and he's still, blowing this horn. If you want to end what's going on between Israel and Gaza, you can start by arresting Netanyahu's behind, if you ask me, because he's a war criminal. What he has been doing to the Palestinian people is, remember, the Palestinian people are not Hamas, just like the American people aren't Trump.
Right.
Right? There's stuff being done by their government in their name that the Palestinian people don't agree with. And consequently, there's a lot of stuff being done in the name of Israel by Netanyahu that the Israelis and Jews don't agree with. They're kind of being
Right.
held hostage. All of us are being held hostage by radical leaders, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what Netanyahu is doing, and if Trump had ended it like he promised, they have killed 1,000 people in the last 2 weeks for trying to get food. No, last three
Wow.
weeks for trying to get food.
Mm-mm.
See, we've been so wrapped up in the Epstein stuff, we're not paying attention to the fact that um, people are literally starving to death, mostly children. 100 people, 100-ish people died from starvation in Gaza last week, most of whom were children.
Damn.
Because they go,
Mm,
they
mm, mm.
if Israel allows the humanitarian aid in, people get
Mhm.
shot trying to get it.
Oh shit.
So,
Damn if you do, damn if you don't.
you're right, right. Even they're talking to doctors and nurses and hospital workers who are getting one meal a day if they're lucky, and that's because they're at the hospital working. Their family at
Mhm.
home might not eat, and I don't know. I don't want my surgeon starving. I don't want, I don't want his mind on food when I need my leg amputated and sewed up. And that's a lot of things. There's a lot of unnecessary deaths too because of this starvation. Because people are going to the hospital, getting these surgeries, but they're not surviving them because their body is in such a disarray due to starvation that the surgeries aren't holding, the bodies aren't healing, they're having to do multiple surgeries, or these people just die. That's horrible, but we've been really focused on Jeffrey Epstein, and America sent in $60 million worth of aid. It was brought up because Trump has been in Scotland all weekend. It was brought up in a press conference about it. And his first response was, yeah, well, nobody said thank you. It would be nice if they thanked us for sending food. Who's they? I mean, while I appreciate it, do you think my main concern is to thank the United States for sending food aid, or is it to eat? Hi, Craig.
How you doing,
I mean,
beautiful?
thank you for the compliment. I'm fine. So we've just been so consumed with this. So that's another campaign promise that was broken. So I am gonna take a little drink because my throat is getting sore. If somebody else would like to jump in and add to the conversation while I take a little pause, feel free. Okay, well, give me a second. You know what? I think, Rep, I think this is a good time to you wanted to take a break in the recording, didn't you? You're on mute, Rep. All right, well, we're gonna take a little break for editing purposes. Um, I'm hoping. Hi, who's this in the PK?
Hi, Purple. How are you?
I'm fine. Who's this? I'm sorry.
This is Eddie. I'm in Amsterdam, and I just saw your profile out of blue. Don't mind me calling you. Very nice to meet you.
Oh, so yeah, I'm in the middle of an important panel, but thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
You you have a good day, okay?
Yeah, you too.
Stay safe. Stay safe in Amsterdam.
Yeah, I think we covered so many things in your opening in such a short period. We weren't able to do justice to any of them, and I think
Fair
that
enough.
maybe we need to center on maybe one or two issues of interest and open them up in more detail to facilitate a better discussion.
Okay, that's fair. Is there one that you want to uh have more fleshed out?
Um, I don't know, maybe do the immigration thing and because I think that really it's like three issues like immigration and of course the DEI and what that actually means and probably how all of the politics is centered around unjustly the personality of Trump and how that is disruptive to the democratic process.
Mr. Cushay, yes, we can. We'll fit that in as well. Um, okay, well, Hakeem, if you want, do you want to take some of that since it's your idea?
Yeah.
Okay,
Basically,
go
what I
ahead.
would say is that what we're seeing or what we're witnessing is people are using democracy to promote.
Please like and subscribe to the Duel of Concepts YouTube channel. Don't forget to enable notifications to stay updated with our latest content. We also value your thoughts. Watch, comment, and engage. Your support fuels our growth, and we truly appreciate it.